All right, automatic brake operation release position. The position of the 26C brake valve for changing of the brake pipe, brake system, releasing automatic pneumatic brake applications. Main reserve air enters the portion number 30 of the brake pipe application, flows to the supply valve into the relay valve portion, the spool valve with the suppression valve, then passes number 3 through the spool valve with the cutoff pilot to the valve, passes 7 to the underside of the equalizing reserve of the cutoff valve piston. The air pressure acting on the face of the piston will remove upwardly, forcing the charging check of the valve of its seat to its open position. Main air reserve flows to the part of the number 30 through the charging valve, regulating valve portion, pass unseated check valve in the equalizing reserve cutoff valve to the passage 15, as well as the face of the regulating valve of the diaphragm. Regulated to A can adjust and regulate the valve of the equalizing reserve to be developed in the regulating valve portion. The air pressure of the part number 15 is equally. It's likewise developed in the equal reservoir volume and port number 5. Either the connection of the P2 or the P2A brake application valve, the directly pipe connected below the 26C brake valve, and the port number 5 of the brake pipe bracket is connected to the spool valve of emergency valve to the chamber of the outer face of the relay diaphragm. A buildup in equalizing reservoir pressure of the outer face of the relay valve diaphragm will cause the diaphragm assembly to attach and stem to be moved inwardly to the first seat of the exhaust valve, unseat the supply valve, the permits the main air reserve air to flow past the supply valve to the brake port number 1. Through the stabilizing choke to the chamber of the interface of the relay valve diaphragm, brake pipe air port number 1 also flows to the brake pipe cutoff valve, the vent valve, thus number 1 of the pipe bracket in which the pipe bracket is connected. Which the brake pipe is connected. Whenever the brake pipe pressures build up in the interface of the relay valve, the diaphragm approaches equalizing reservoir pressure acting on the opposite side of the diaphragm assembles in stem position to permit the supply of the valve to become seated and terminate the further flow of the air of the main reserve system to the brake pipe. The brake pipe is now fully charged, however, there should be brake pipe pressure due to the brake pipe leakage. The higher equalizing reserve pressure acting on the face of the relay valve of the diaphragm will move the diaphragm assembly stem inward to the unseated supply valve to restore the brake pipe pressure, equalizing reserve pressure, after which the supply valve will again become seated to the lap position of the relay valve position. Service position. The position consists of the sector handle movement to the right of the release of the position as the handle moved then the sector hold towards the service position. The brake pipe of the reduction is increased gradually until the full service position or the full service brake pipe reduction has been obtained. The minimum reduction notch is also contained with the brake valve quadrant and is located with a few degrees to the right of the release position raised portion in the service quadrant. Move up the brake valve handle to the position provided minimum reduction of the pressure in the equalizer reserve the result in a similar reduction of the brake pipe pressure. When automatic brake valve is moved into the intermediate service position, the suppression can be handled with the shaft position. The suppression valve, the connection port number 3, 8, and 26 to the atmosphere. The service can am on the handle shaft allows the exhaust valve and regulating valve to unseat to permit the equalizing of reserve charging into reduced normal with the part number 3 exhausted with the cutoff of the pilot valve for rate position. By the equalizing reserve cutoff valve, it's closed, but also as soon as pressure differential is set up to cross the cutoff valve check, the reduction of the equalizing reserve charging on the top of the check valve is unseated. The equalizing reserve air can now and then be flow through the pass of the check valve and regulating valve exhaust valve atmosphere to reduce the equalizing reserve pressure and the amount of corresponding to the brake valve handle. In the reduction equalizing the reserve pressure creates a pressure or differential across the relay valve diaphragm, causing the diaphragm assembly and the stem to move outward. The unseating of the relay valve exhaust valve allows the brake pipe air to vent the atmosphere at the brake valve. Brake pipe air will continue to vent the atmosphere until its pressure has been reduced sufficiently to cause brake pressure equalization across the relay valve diaphragm. When it occurs at the diaphragm assembly in the stem, the aid of the relay valve, the springs position the assembly to allow the exhaust valve to become seated. Thus, the brake valve can be said to be in its lap position or lapped off. When the automatic brake valve handle is moved to the full service position, the brake valve operates as described above, except that the cost of the equalizing reservoir and the brake pipe pressure drops sufficiently to produce a full service brake application. Alright, suppression position. The position is used to nullify the suppress the safety control over speed of the brake application, such as the penalty application can be avoided if the brake on the valve handle to move the suppression position before the expiration of the predetermined delay period, which indicated by the audible warning whistle. However, the 26C brake valve is designed so whenever the brake valve handle is in place in the suppression position, full service brake application is obtained. It is not possible to avoid getting a full service brake application cycling the brake valve handle with the returning the brake valve handle to the release position for a few seconds. When returning the suppression position, the brake valve was originally contained in the full service application. In suppressive position, the suppression system cam on the handle shaft position of the suppression valve connection to the part number 3, atmosphere of the brake valve part number 8, port number 8, and P2 and P2A brake application valve is closed with connected containing the lockout pipe of the main reserve air pressure connected to port number 26, the suppression pipe to suppress the rest of the control air brake application. Handle off. The handle can be removed in the brake valve position. The handle of the position is conditioned by the brake valve trailing units, multiple unit locomotives. On locomotives to be hauled dead in the train, the brake pipe pressure within the brake valve is reduced to zero. The various valves in which the brake valve are positioned to make inoperative normal operation function with the brake valve handle in the handle off position. The various brake valve spool valves are positioned in the same suppressed brake valve handle into the handle off position. The cutoff pilot valve handle is moved to the out position, which the main air reserve is put on into port number 53. The purpose of the closing of the brake pipe cutoff valve against the train line brake pipe pressure. Emergency position. The position of the brake valve handle is used to prevent the brake on the pressure at the fastest possible rate of the zero, produce the emergency brake pipe reduction. To the rest of it, reset the emergency brake application to if the brake in 2 available. The flow air to the brake pipe is cut off position. The emergency valve is positioned in the vent to the zero equalizing reservoir air passes pipe number 5, the supplementing venting at the regulating valve exhaust valve to allow main air reserve to flow from the port number 30 to port number 12 to port and number 12 emergency switch pipe, also equalizing the reservoir pressure to the outer face in the relay portion. Diaphragm reduced to zero. The diaphragm assembly stem moved to unseat the relay valve with exhaust valve, allowing the brake pipe air to the also vent to zero. A cam on the valve brake handle the shaft functions largely capacity vent valve to the supplemental with the brake pipe venting. This resulting in rapid emergency rate of the brake pipe pressure reduction in the brake valve. The suppression valve remains in the same position as the suppression handle off position. Independent brake valve operation.